Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Welcome back to the channel. We're looking at a scene from A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Now, I think it's Jody is the cinematographer on this. Very skilled, right? There's no doubt about it. And knowing that we've got a skilled cinematographer, it's interesting to look at how they tackle certain situations and how they overcome certain obstacles. Because then we know, if we vetted them and go, okay, we like their style, we like the images that they produce, which I most certainly do, then we can see it's probably not, if there's something that's a little bit iffy, it's probably not for a lack of trying or for a lack of having good taste, which is the cinematographer's entire job, right? There's probably something else at play. And what it comes down to is the bigger the scene is, no matter how good you are, the harder it becomes, right? That just makes intuitive sense, right? You have more variables in play. There's more balls to juggle. It's going to be more complicated. Something might have to give. Now, what gives is usually the decision that you end up making. Where are we going to make that sacrifice? Whose job is it to decide what that sacrifice is going to be? It's yours, cinematographer. You are the one. You're not moving the stands. You're not playing with the settings on the camera. You are making the higher level decisions of this thing can't look. Maybe it can't look exactly how we want it. How do we get it to look the most like we want it with the least amount of sacrifices? What do we have to give up in order to make our day, in order to meet the budget, in order to satisfy the requirements of the director and the vision that they have put forth to us? That is the job. And how do you get better at that? In the most efficient way? Yes, you could go out there and you could shoot this scene yourself. You could get everybody together. Chances are that's not going to happen. So what's the best alternative? To look at somebody else, to look and see what they've done. And that's what we do each and every week over on Patreon, feature film breakdowns, much longer than this, many more scenes than this, with a huge catalog that we have previously posted. You can go become a member right now and you can watch all of those videos. And the benefit is you get to see the results of those decisions. If you don't like the decisions that people have made, guess what? You still know the answer. Just do the opposite, right? You don't like the way something looks? Do the opposite. You like the way something looks? Do the exact same thing, right? Cinematographers, very successful ones that you know by name, they have made careers off of doing the same thing over and over and over again. Why? Because just because you know how to do something, the difference between knowing and doing is a vast chasm, right? There is no getting around that. It's really easy after the fact to look and see what something is done, like in this example, and it's much, much different to be there on the day with all of the time pressures, which all of the other things that are going on around you to be able to get this content in the can. Okay, with all that being said, let's get into this little look at A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. We jump straight into the action here, I think, which is a good ploy. One of the things that I thought when I was looking at this, okay, we're going to break this one down. Because it had a few of these scenes, also because it has a different lighting style, right? Jody Lee, very naturalistic. Like, let's make things not very pretty and let's do it on purpose, but with some skill, which is a different style that we haven't really looked at too much. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason is all these things, but also the coverage is so much different than, say, someone that I like a Roger Deakins, that it makes a big difference into how it looks and how the day would progress, right? As a cinematographer and as the director, when you're choosing the framing and you're choosing the blocking, how the day, even on set, is going to operate and flow, and the crew is going to be dictated all really by the angles that you choose and the way that you cover a scene. So, okay, we're starting in this, flat-ish kind of environment, a little tiny bit here, but really big, giant shears, big, giant curtains. We're trying to maximize our, 12 extras. So we're going to put them in a V behind our couple here. And of course, we're lighting from the window that we can't see, right? We're balancing to back here, and we're lighting to the window that we can't see. This much, so far, so good, right? They're not on, if you imagine this is a wedding and someone's gonna walk down the aisle over here, they're not on the other side, and we're not looking into the room, we're looking out of the room, which, again, fairly basic stuff. But this is also, look at the framing, how we're further away than like a 32 or a 35. We're further away, making them flatter, making the extras look more on top of them, right? Because you're stacking everything together. So you're eliminating depth the longer you go on the focal length. But then we're also, look at how we are in the eye line. Like, look at all this room up here, right? It's a big, lot of headroom, right? They're probably just above the center line here, which is probably not accurately drawn, right? Not a lot of room there. Cut 2, Okay, big long lens. From behind the head to really compress the space, we get a few other extras in there, but still lighting from back here. And this set, I mean, it's right on top of them, right? This backdrop is right on top of them. But this, talk about an easy scene to light. But already you get the sense, just from the coverage and just from using our extras, that there's quite a few people at this wedding, right? It's a big wedding because we're on a long lens and we're stacking people. It makes the space feel bigger. Who knows how big this actual room is, right? Okay, now we do know. Now, again, they're probably parked somewhere. Where are they? Oh, I was wrong the whole time. Probably should have watched this thing through before I started flapping my gums. Yeah. I was wrong. I would have put them over here, which is why I probably didn't shoot this. They're right here. They're as far over as you can get. But again, walking down, curtain shears. I like all this stuff in the foreground, right? This is nice. Load me up with some, also a crazy, strange angle. I guess you would want to go this high so that you could see, well, I guess you get this stuff in here, which is nice. But also, so you want to see all the heads, because if you come down lower, you start eliminating extras because of the angle of the camera. So you come up here, you get all this little foregroundy stuff. What are we going to walk down the aisle here? And boom, cut to the corner. I like this one. I really like this one. All right, we're playing to that window that we still haven't seen yet, have we? Have we seen that window? Nope. Haven't seen what's going on over here, right? So this could all be, like the room could keep going that way, and then we just have a big light here, which is hitting this guy in the head, and it's also doing this number here, right? Same thing with this over here. We're just shooting light that way. Down we go. And this shot, super basic, right? The only shot you have to worry about in this whole thing is this one, right? Because as soon as you decide where the light is going to come from and where they're going to be seated inside the group, you're okay. Oh, I see why they're on this side. I see what you've done. We wanted to get the walk past. You couldn't get this shot if you were on the other side. Why? Because we would be looking in on this shot. And so all these people's faces or all these people's bodies would be lit up like crazy and be really, really flat. So in order to get that shot, now we start to see what's going on here, because this is the guy that we're following here. We do the pan, everybody's backlit. Now, this shot only possible by where we choose to place. Oh, the hotness out there. Look at that. So even in here, like it's hard. You got a big sky out there. You'd have to pump in so much level. Now, how could you get around? Let's say you wanted to. How could you get around not doing this to the sky? It's not a big part of the image, but it's still there. You would have to have so much level inside. You can't push any more level through these shears, right? Because if you do, they're just going to light up. They're going to start to clip, right? You can't push any more level in here. So what you would have to do is up above here, not on this shot, but on this big walking shot, what you would have to do, come on, show me the money. Okay, you're going to have to put some sort of system all the way, and it's a hard one to do because we're panning from right all the way to left as we come down, and we're going to have to pump in tons of level from up here. And you know that if you start pumping in tons of level from the inside, what happens? It gets really complicated, gets expensive because you got to use lots of lights, time that it's going to take to set up this rig, and the balance is hard. The balance is not hard if you light the shears. Why? Because the shears will light the room naturally, like would normally happen with the sun. So to get the ratios right is very, very simple. You just light the shears, and then you expose for the shears, and then everything else should fall where it falls, right? There's no, all of a sudden, not some weird saucy flavor to it because you've pumped in a light right next to somebody. You don't have to balance anything. But if you do go lights above, then you have to start balancing things. Then it gets tricky. And then depending on the path of the sun outside, it's not like a balance at one time and then set it. It's like every 15 minutes. If there's any clouds, you have to rebalance. If there's not clouds, you have to rebalance. If there's any movement outside, any time that has passed, constantly rebalancing. So the trade-off is, well, let's let the sky clip out there, and we don't really care. But just imagine this shot if these two were in over here on this side of the line. Things start to get a little bit crazy. This one nice and easy. We chose the shadow side. What is going on with this? What is going on with this? Jesus. Yeah, I don't know if that's something's going on with the recording, right? It's always a pain with these recordings because I screen record in whatever it is, sRGB, and then to do inside of Resolve to make sure the levels of the black and the whites are correct, you have to do video data instead of full data, and it gets to be this whole big thing. So it's pretty close, but this is quite hot, right? This is abnormally quite hot. So I don't know. I wouldn't think that you would do that, but maybe that's in the actual film. I can't, now that I'm looking at it now, I can't see, but I'd want to be trying to avoid something like that. And this is an easy shot to do it because you are sort of wrapping light from inside here, right? This is not coming from outside, those eye lights. All right, so what do we want to take away from that video? In my mind, we take away that bigger scenes, more complicated, you're not always going to win. Something's going to have to give. It's okay to have some things give, right? Like that's the job. The job is deciding what is going to give because you can't get it all, and you can't get all the options, and you can't get all the coverage, and you can't get all the lighting setups that you want. So you got to decide what is the best way forward, and how do you do that the most efficiently? Well, you look out into the future and you say, what's the maximum number of possibilities that I have to choose from? I want, out of the 100 choices that I can make, I want choice number 97 because that fits with the vision that I have for this project that I've discussed with the director and the rest of the team. Like out of 100, if I've got 100 options in front of me, it's probably more likely that I'm going to land on one that satisfies my needs versus if I only have 5 options available to me. So how do you open up that? How do you expand your options, your horizons there? Is you learn what you do and don't like, and then how to get there. If you know how to get there, that expands how many options you have in front of you. So that is probably better than not knowing. Is it going to make you a good cinematographer? Not right off the bat. It's going to take a lot more work than that. But better to be prepared and kind of terrible than just being kind of terrible. I don't know. Makes sense to me. Okay, that's going to do it for this one. Many thanks. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.